It's October 2015. Washington, D.C. is quiet. Autumn has settled in, and the city moves with its usual confidence, unaware that one of the most embarrassing intelligence failures in modern American history is about to begin. Inside a secure office, John Brennan looks down at his phone. Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, a man trusted with secrets so sensitive they could destabilize nations. A man who oversees covert operations, drone programs, and intelligence networks spanning the globe. The phone vibrates. Unknown number. Brennan hesitates. He rarely answers calls like this. But something tells him to pick up. Hello, John Brennan speaking. A pause. Then a voice. Young. Relaxed, almost amused. Yo, what's up, John? Brennan's face tightens. Who is this? The voice laughs. You should know. I own you. In that moment, Brennan realizes something is very wrong. This isn't a prank call. This is a breach. To understand how serious this moment is, you have to understand who John Brennan is. He isn't a celebrity politician. He isn't a loud public figure. He's something far more dangerous, a career intelligence operative. Brennan spent decades moving quietly through the shadows of American power, shaping counterterrorism strategy after 9/11, influencing drone warfare policy, and becoming one of the most trusted men in the U.S. national security apparatus. By 2013, he was appointed director of the CIA. That position comes with a simple assumption. You are untouchable. Your personal life is protected by layers of security most people will never see. Or so he thought. Brennan tries to regain control. How did you get this number? The reply is instant. It was easy. Then the voice adds something worse. You guys suck at security. This isn't a foreign intelligence officer. This isn't Russia or China. This is someone who sounds like a kid. Brennan presses harder. What do you want? The answer is absurd. $5 trillion. A pause. Then laughter. Brennan realizes this isn't about money. Why are you doing this? The response cuts through the call. We want you to stop bombing the Middle East. Then the line goes dead. Within minutes, alarms are triggered. Not literal sirens, but something far worse. Internal alerts, security reviews, emergency meetings. The CIA director's personal phone has been compromised. That phone is tied to accounts, emails, backups, family contacts. For the first time in years, the CIA isn't hunting someone. They're hunting a ghost. Now cut the scene. Not to Moscow, not to Tehran, not to Beijing. To a modest house in the West Midlands of England. Inside a teenage bedroom, a 15-year-old boy stares at his phone in disbelief. He just prank called the director of the CIA, and it worked. His online name is Kraka, real name, Kane Gamble. He isn't rich, he isn't powerful. He's bored, high, and laughing.
Teenager
cyber attacks
hijacked the computers of several US intelligence and
to the
security
collective called crackers with attitude.
Kane grew up on online forums, games or chat rooms. Like millions of teenagers, he spent more time on the internet than in the real world. But Kane noticed something early. Adults, especially those in power, don't understand technology the way they think they do. They trust systems. They trust procedures. They trust authority, and that trust can be exploited. Kane didn't learn hacking from textbooks. He learned it from talking. What Kane used wasn't advanced malware. It wasn't zero-day exploits. It was social engineering, the oldest hack in history. Pretending to be someone you're not. Sound confident. Ask the right questions. Make people believe you belong. Kane would call telecom companies pretending to be IT staff. He'd email service providers posing as technicians. He'd request password resets, access confirmations, account verifications. And people gave them to him because he sounded legitimate, because authority is easy to fake over a phone line. It didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, piece by piece. Kane gathered fragments of Brennan's digital footprint. An email here, a backup there, a phone number buried inside an unrelated database. Each piece alone meant nothing. Together, they formed a map. And eventually, that map led straight to the CIA director's personal life. Not classified systems, not CIA servers. Personal accounts, the weakest link. Once Kane accessed Brennan's personal email backups, things escalated fast. Inside were security clearance forms, personal addresses, family phone numbers, sensitive intelligence contacts. This wasn't trolling anymore. This was a national security nightmare. Kane didn't fully grasp the scale. To him, it was proof. Proof that the system was broken. Proof that power wasn't what it claimed to be. Kane wasn't alone. He was part of a loose online collective called Crackers with Attitude. Not a formal group, no meetings, no structure. Just teenagers connected through chats and forums. Some were political, some were bored. Some just wanted chaos. Together, they began leaking information, FBI agents, police officers, government employees. Names, emails, phone numbers. Not to profit, but to humiliate. News outlets quickly blamed Anonymous. But Anonymous wasn't what it used to be. It wasn't one group, it was a label, a mask anyone could wear. Some hacks were political, some were trolling, some were pure ego. The CIA breach sat right in the middle of that confusion. By the end of 2015, one truth was clear. The CIA hadn't been hacked by a foreign power. They hadn't been breached by elite cyber warfare units. They had been embarrassed by kids. And the worst part, they didn't even break the rules. They used them. After the John Brennan breach, the CIA does what it always does publicly. Nothing. No press conference, no confirmation, no denial. Behind closed doors, though, the mood is very different. This isn't just embarrassing, it's dangerous. Because once a teenager proves the CIA director's personal life is accessible, every hostile intelligence service on Earth starts paying attention. And worse, so do copycats. Cain Gamble doesn't stop. In fact, the Brennan incident convinces him of something powerful. If this worked once, it can work again. Crackus with Attitude begins expanding its target list, not random civilians, people with badges, power, authority. Within weeks, sensitive personal data starts appearing online. FBI agents, Homeland Security employees, police officers, DOJ officials, phone numbers, home addresses, family members. This is no longer a single hack, it's a pattern. Here's the part most people missed at the time. This wasn't about classified files. It was about doxing at scale. When you expose the personal details of intelligence officers, you don't just embarrass them, you endanger them. Their families, their children, their daily routines. Crackus with Attitude didn't need to touch classified systems to cause chaos. They weaponized public trust. Journalists scrambled to explain what's happening. But modern hacking is complicated, so the media simplifies it. They use a familiar name, Anonymous. The Guy Fawkes mask, the shadowy collective, the symbol everyone recognizes. But the truth is far messier. By the mid-2010s, Anonymous wasn't a single group. It was an idea, anyone could claim it. Some anonymous operations were serious political protests. Others were chaos-driven pranks. Many were fake. Law enforcement knew this. Hackers knew this. The public didn't. So Crackus with Attitude existed in a strange space. Not quite anonymous, not completely separate. Benefiting from the myth without belonging to the structure. Calling it Anonymous did two things. It distracted investigators. It amplified fear. Anonymous sounded big, organized, global. In reality, Crackus with Attitude was small, young, loose. But the myth bought them time. And time is everything in cybercrime. Contrary to movies, Cain and his group weren't sitting in dark rooms typing code at lightning speed. Most of the work looked boring. Phone calls, emails, waiting, trial and error. They impersonated employees, used leaked databases, exploited weak recovery systems. The weakest systems weren't government servers. They were third-party services, telecom providers' cloud backups, customer support desks, human beings. This is the uncomfortable truth intelligence agencies hate admitting. You don't need to hack the CIA to compromise the CIA. You just need to hack an email provider, a phone company, a help desk operator on minimum wage. Once you control identity recovery, you control access. Crackus with Attitude understood this instinctively. At their peak, the group leaked. Brennan's personal emails, CIA employee contact lists, law enforcement databases, internal government communications. Not all of it was real. Not all of it was useful, but enough of it was verified to cause panic. Agencies scrambled to lock down accounts. Phones were replaced, emails deleted, security procedures rewritten quietly. Foreign intelligence services were watching. Russia, China, Iran. They didn't need the data itself. They needed proof. Proof that American intelligence officers were vulnerable. Proof that personal lives were the weakest link. The damage wasn't measured in files stolen. It was measured in confidence lost. While Cain Gamble is humiliating the CIA, another teenager is learning power in a different way. Across the Atlantic, in the United States, a boy known online as Default is discovering hacking from a different angle. Default is ordinary suburban, into video games, soccer, argues with his dad. His father works in government, that matters. Because Default grows up watching authority from the inside and resenting it, Default's journey starts with cheating in video games. Small things, modifying files, breaking rules. But that feeling, control over a system, is intoxicating. So he keeps going. He learns how servers work, how networks connect, how systems trust inputs they shouldn't. Unlike Cain, Default leans technical. Less talking, more exploring. Default enters hacking during a perfect storm. Anonymous is everywhere, operations are public. Arrests are rare. The internet feels unpoliced. If you find the right chat rooms, you're suddenly surrounded by people who speak the same language. Power without permission. The longer Default stays, the more problems he sees. Anonymous is crowded, infiltrated, full of ego, full of informants. Operations get sloppy, people get arrested. Media attention ruins everything. Default doesn't want fame, he wants skill, so he leaves. Default joins a smaller group, a non-sec, less noise. More discipline, better tools. A non-sec isn't ideological, sometimes political, sometimes trolling. Mostly experimental, and unlike Kane's group, a non-sec controls something powerful. A botnet. A botnet isn't magic. It's a collection of infected computers. Each one alone is weak. Together, they're terrifying. They can overload servers, spread malware, hide activity, launder attacks. A non-sec's botnet grows quietly, and Default gets curious. One day, Default inspects a machine inside the botnet. It's not a personal computer, it's a server. Owned by a Canadian university, Windsor University. Default clicks around, then freezes. He has access to financial records, student debts, loan information, millions of dollars. At the bottom of the interface, a button. Delete all. Default hesitates, then rationalizes. These students are drowning in debt. Some owe tens of thousands. Some owe more than $100,000. He tells himself he's helping. He clicks. The records vanish. Shredded, gone. Default doesn't profit. He doesn't leak the data. He deletes it. To him, it's justice. To authorities, it's a serious crime. This moment captures the moral confusion of teenage hacking. Power feels righteous. Consequences feel distant. Kane and Default never planned to change history. They weren't masterminds. They were teenagers discovering leverage. But their stories collide in the same uncomfortable truth. Modern power depends on systems built by humans. And humans make mistakes. By the time law enforcement starts catching up, the damage is already done. Trust is broken, procedures rewritten. The myth of invincibility shattered. And the kids? They're still online, still talking, still learning, unaware that the window is closing. For months, it felt like Kane Gamble and others like him were untouchable. They were careful. They used aliases. They hid behind screens, VPNs, burner phones, and borrowed identities. But intelligence agencies do not forget humiliation, and they do not forgive it easily. Behind the scenes, British and American authorities were quietly building cases. They weren't chasing headlines. They were mapping patterns. Login times, online handles, typing habits, voice recordings, time zones. Cyber investigations don't end with one mistake. They end when someone gets tired. Kane's biggest weakness wasn't technical. It was emotional. He talked. He bragged. He trusted people online. He reused habits, small things, human things, and humans leave trails. In 2016, British authorities finally had enough. They had IP correlations. They had witness statements. They had digital fingerprints. They knew who Crackus with attitude really was. And one morning, the knock came. Police didn't storm a bunker. They didn't raid a compound. They walked into a normal British home. A teenager's room, posters on the wall, a computer desk, a kid who hadn't finished growing up. Kane Gamble was arrested at 16 years old. The same kid who had called the CIA director and told him, "I already own you." In court, the myth vanished. No Guy Fawkes mask, no anonymous slogans, no power, just charges. Blackmail, identity theft, harassment, unauthorized access. The prosecution didn't paint Kane as a political activist. They painted him as a danger. Someone who exposed officers and families. Someone whose actions could have gotten people killed. And for the first time, Kane had to listen. In 2018, Kane Gamble was sentenced to 2 years in a youth detention center. No dramatic speech, no revolutionary ending, just confinement. Rules, silence, the internet, gone. The CIA, far away. The power evaporated. Default's story ends differently, less dramatic, more quiet, but just as important. Authorities eventually traced Anonsec's activities. Botnets were dismantled, servers seized, members scattered, Default was arrested and charged. He didn't become a symbol, he became a statistic. A talented teenager who crossed lines without understanding how permanent consequences can be. This is the part movies don't show. Hacking isn't glamorous in the end. It's paperwork, court dates, banned devices, restricted internet access. Years of explaining yourself to employers. The loss isn't just freedom, it's future. Publicly, intelligence agencies downplayed the incidents. Privately, everything changed. After these breaches, personal security protocols were rewritten. Multi-factor authentication became mandatory. Third-party access was locked down. Social engineering training became standard. The CIA didn't upgrade because of foreign hackers. They upgraded because of kids. Kane Gamble never hacked the CIA's servers. Default never cracked classified databases. They exploited something far weaker. Human trust, customer support desks, password recovery systems, public records, careless assumptions. The world's most powerful intelligence agencies weren't defeated by code. They were embarrassed by process. Because nothing fundamental has changed. Governments still rely on emails, phones, passwords, third-party services, and the weakest link is still human behavior. The next breach won't come from a nation-state. It will come from curiosity, boredom, a teenager with time and talent. Were these kids criminals? Yes. Were they dangerous? Absolutely. But were they also warnings? Undeniably. They showed how fragile modern power really is, how thin the line is between authority and exposure. Cain Gamble disappeared from public life. No interviews, no redemption arc. No comeback, default faded into obscurity. The internet moved on, but cybersecurity didn't. Their actions are now case studies, warnings taught in training rooms, stories whispered in intelligence briefings. The CIA spends billions protecting secrets, but it took teenagers to prove the truth. You don't need to break down the door if someone inside is willing to open it. Final words, closing monologue. This isn't a story about hackers. It's a story about power in the digital age, about how authority looks solid until it isn't, about how the line between citizen and threat can be crossed from a bedroom, and about how the most dangerous weapon in modern intelligence is access.